Discipline 3. About 5 disciplines of extraordinary school leaders. Matching communication to leverage the diversity. Matching communication, that's the construct we're starting to tag here. To match communication, of course, we have to understand the other person's communication preferences. And we also have to understand the status dynamic. You got the scarf slide earlier, remember that? Yeah, so we want to, work on just a small part of that. When we think about communication preferences, we're really starting to dig into that world of individual differences, which from an articulation around leadership is basically heading towards personality, understanding personality too. There's a plethora of personality models out there: Myers-Briggs, 16PF, DISC, Oz Identities, the TMS system, that's another one with a bit of a wheel. Yeah. We're a bit agnostic as psychologists. We don't mind which personality tool you use, provided everybody uses the same tool so it's meaningful. But the one we found over the years that's stickiest is this idea of the colours, and we call it the CARD, or C-A-R-D profile. Okay, it's used by Oz Identities, it's used by DISC, it's used by HBDI. It sits in the spine of quite a number of personality tests. And it's a simple situation. It's basically saying that everyone has at least a dominant, a particular colour for this purpose, a particular letter, that they're more comfortable with. And they have a secondary. 70% of the population have 2 things. 20% of us have 3, and so on. But the idea here is we need to start to understand where we sit with this stuff. Have people done this before? This CARD business? Played the card game or done the HBDI? Should we pause on it now and do it straight away? Alrighty, quick 2-second task. Simply want you to just rank order these statements about how you see yourself the majority of the time. Force you to make number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. So if we go back here then, what's your number 1? Who are the C's? Anyone got number 1 as a C? It'd be me too. I'm the yellow. Yeah, okay. What about A? Anyone number 1 there? Less is more. Let's get on with it. R, the reds. Yeah, there you all are. Lovely work. And the greens. Anyone got a number 1 for the green? What about number 2? Did anyone have that as a second? Yeah. When you're communicating one-on-one with someone as a leader, state the obvious, you can see who clashes. So we had lots of yellows but no dominant greens, so we won't have a lot of clashes going on there. But we had some reds and blues in the room, remember that? So that's where you instinctively don't like that other person. You just don't like them. Don't like them. On the other hand, all the reds, if you saw who your other reds are, have a beer with them. Oh, I feel like we've been friends for 1,000 years. It's just like comfy old shoes. All your blues get together, go, damn, it's good we're here. We'll sort them out. Yeah, we know what's going on. The point is this. Once we have an insight into ourselves, we can then realise how easy or hard it is for us to communicate with empathy to the other colours. Because on autopilot, you're going to do whatever your colour is. And extraordinary leaders know this. They know that most people do not speak with the intent of empathy. They speak with the intent of competence. I'm up here trying to make sure I convey to you I know what I'm talking about. Or am I up here trying to share something with you in some sort of way that you can engage with? It's different, right? It's different. And this becomes really, really important when we're talking about leadership. Because in a one-on-one environment, you must get the other person to speak first, right? You need a paragraph or 2 of them so you can crunch it out and place them here. Where are they at? What's their dominant thing? If they're very relational in how they're communicating, and you're a blue, well, it sucks to be you, right? Because to empathise with them, you've got to come to them. You have to speak in what we call red language, relational words. However, if you hear them and you're a blue and they're a blue, bingo, just be yourself. Yep, got that, see you later. Both parties are happy. Extraordinary leaders get other people talking first, and one of the magic things that's going on behind the curtain for them is they're placing them here so that they can work out how to say what they need to say. Remember, empathy is matching colour. Empathy is not one of these more than the other. Empathy is simply working out where the other person is and speaking in a way that matches. Here's the rub. High performance teams, groups of people, What do you do there if you don't know them, or you don't know all of them, you didn't get to do the survey with them, you just waltz in and you've got to like wing it. Is there an order by which you should speak? There is. There is a recipe at play that all speechwriters know about, and you can see the order in the colours that are on the screen, can't you? It's based on who switches on first. Communication tolerance. Who's least tolerant at listening? Who flames out first? Who becomes disinterested first? Yeah? And we all know who gets jack of it early on, don't we? Get to the point. What's this all about? Sounds like rubbish to me. It's all mumbo jumbo. So you start, when you're speaking to a group, in a two-sentence formula, you start with what. Then you address why, because they'll be off doing their thing. Then it's how. How's our detail? Because unless we're now crunching into how this is going to work out, I'm actually thinking this is a waste of time. And then our most tolerant people, our most forgiving people, you can't ignore them. So we end our statement with who. So the recipe when you're a speechwriter, when you're speaking, when you're writing an email, we give you all these templates of showing you how principals do it. It's what, why, how, who. And it cycles around and around and around. If you listen to a speech of Barack Obama's and you had your what, why, how, who going on, it'd be like a symphony. Because it's just constantly moving around like that. And when we proofread government disaster memos that are going out to the newspapers, what we're doing is counting the colours through the speech. We don't know anything about what they do for a living or the oil spill or any other disaster, but we can see blue, yellow, green and red. People like me. And I can tick them off and say that's good to go, or I can pull it back and say no, this has to be done this way. Extraordinary school leaders just talk like this. And we all wonder, oh, they're so good at that. Well, you're so good at that now too, yeah? That's it. It's complicated. That's it gets. The other part of this, though, is going back to the idea about scarf, is about status. Extraordinary leaders, not only do they speak in a way that matches the other colour, they adjust their body language to maximise the other person's status, to make the other person feel powerful in the moment. High status, I'm the principal, whatever, that may be good, but it could equally come across badly. That's the trick, right? And so it's true for low status, because high and low status is really important in leadership development. We spend a lot of time working with leaders. But we're not trying to suggest one of them's more valuable than the other. They're both incredibly valuable, provided they're done the right way in the right context, you see. Because if you get your low status approach mucked up, you end up like this, instead of what you were trying to come across as. If you get your high status approach mucked up, instead of what you want. And so extraordinary school leaders have done some basic body language work and are actually aware of we all have a default status. I don't know if you've done that part of the development. We're all naturally higher or lower by default, and we need to know that about ourselves. And then as you can see, if you simply adjust your eye line, there's actually a simple exercise we can do. You can radically change the emotion you evoke in someone else. And that's what's going on behind the curtain with the extraordinary school leaders, right? They've moved 5 degrees this way and moved their chin slightly, held that for 30 seconds, and you're completely different emotionally. You have no idea why that happened. That's how they get cranky parents sorted out. Love to do that work with you as a network if you ever want to play in that space. It sounds a bit too good to be true, doesn't it? Yeah? But remember, 55% of your body language research, 55% of the values in the body language. Yeah? 7% of it's content, what we're saying. 93% is not. Of that 93%, 55 is body language. So how you move your chin and your eyes is worth 40 or 50% of the equation before you've spoken. It's way underdeveloped, this stuff, and it's tremendously useful, particularly if you deal with people who are distressed. My understanding is teachers can get stressed and come at you in a stressed way. My understanding is parents can do that to you too, and so can students. Possibly your principals. Status is your ace in the hole. Yes, you need to learn to match how you're speaking, but more importantly, you've got to get on top of your own status dynamic and learn how to play the tools that are natural for you. So it's not fake, but it's absolutely helping that other person engage with you properly. Quick check-in on that one. Where are you at? Extraordinary school leader. You've been done to death with your body language and your tilt and your eye line, that you actually are quite extraordinary at this. It's unconscious competence now. Are you so good, again, unconscious competence, that you can place the sequence of your messaging to appeal to the whole room and you know why? Or are these ideas novelties and things that might need to be wrestled with when you're mapping your own leadership development?